Welcome to the FangledCast, brought to you by Fangled Technologies, where we help you convert every person your company touches into a voracious advocate for your brand. Hey, welcome back to the FangledCast. Today, to be transparent, I'm bringing on a gentleman that I've known for a short period of time who we actually have an agreement with and we're working with to bring their technology to the market together as part of FangledCast. So just to be clear, this isn't my normal where I'm bringing someone on and we're not promoting or pushing something, but we're going to talk about the background of it, which is AI and how it can benefit your business. And at the end, I think you'll get a much better feel for what it is and how it works and how it can truly make a difference, and how especially industrial distributors or companies with lots of SKUs can get their salespeople way ahead of the game and beat competition. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Benjamin Cohen, who I'll let tell you a little bit about himself, his background, and his company.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, super excited to be on the show. So thanks for having me. Glad that we get to work together. As Andrew mentioned, we're working on some software to help wholesale distributors and manufacturers leverage AI to grow sales. A little bit about my background. I grew up in a wholesale business, so my family business sells dental supplies. So everything from toothbrushes to dental chairs. And growing up in that business, I saw a couple of key challenges in my family's go-to-market. First, sales channels that were really siloed. So if a customer browses for something on the website, the outside salesperson who's serving that account really has no idea that that's going on. Second challenge was that sales reps tended to be really passive. A lot of milk run conversations, not really being proactive reps. And the third is that generally our go-to-market was pretty expensive. And you have to be able to compete with sort of digital first, digital native companies. So really important to reduce cost to serve. So went to school, studied applied math and data science, got interested in how AI could help solve those challenges for my family business. And so started there, and then realized that this was a much bigger problem than just in dental distribution. And so started Proton after that.
It's interesting. I want to kind of go back to the core of the conversation, because there's the thing I always find funny in business is people use words or abbreviations or otherwise, and everybody pretends to know what they mean. I remember when I was with a company years ago, they actually handed out a 12-sheet filled with all of these words that was how we spoke in the organization. So let's go back to what the heck is AI for people who think they know or say they know but don't know.
Yeah, so AI is like a really broad term. I think a good way to think about it is it's artificial intelligence. You're trying to use a computer to mimic what a human might be able to do. The cool thing about it is that in a lot of cases, AI can do things that humans can't do as well, and vice versa. So humans can do things that AI can't do really well. There are obviously a bunch of different types of artificial intelligence out there. There's recommendation technology, which is core to what we do, which is figuring out what people are going to buy or making recommendations to customers. There's natural language processing technology. So how do we understand human speech? And there's image processing. There's all kinds of different sort of sub areas of AI. But really, I think the way to think about it is that you're trying to sort of mimic a human process. And the basic sort of building blocks there are, you can think of it as just any kind of function. So you've got some input, some training data. You have a computer take a look at that training data and figure out what's going on, what are the patterns, and then you apply that in some other area. So for example, if you want to train a computer to play chess, you show it a bunch of chess games, figures out how chess works, then you can have it play chess. Or if you want to make recommendations, you show it a bunch of transactions and you have it figure out what things people might want to buy. Does that make sense?
Can you guarantee us though, Ben, that this AI is not going to try to take over the world and cause a thermonuclear disaster? Just asking for a friend.
Yeah.
I have your personal guarantee?
Yeah, my personal guarantee.
All right, just checking. Yeah, I think one of the key things about AI that gets confusing for folks that you brought up is not only is it doing the predictions, because the sort of the evolution was folks would look at spreadsheets and see what was happening, and then from that make a moment in time decision and pass that out to the sales team. This is what's happening in the market, and these are what's selling, what's not selling. And then the next was a guy doing it on a regular basis. And the beauty of the AI at least from my perspective, is it's constantly learning. So the recommendations that it's making at one point, as the AI gets smarter and smarter with the yeses and the nos, is the very difference. You're not waiting for the sales analyst to come out with a monthly report. The decisions and what goes into the system throughout the day and throughout the week and throughout the month are constantly moving and changing what those recommendations would be based on the successes and failures.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, I think the other point to bring up is that so one is that there's this sort of constant learning, and that's something that humans do really well. But the other thing that AI can do that humans aren't as good at is, for example, like, who has the patience to study 100 million, transaction records, or 8 million products, and read everything and understand what everything means, and try to find patterns across sort of a large amount of data. That's something that AI can do. AI can look at all the products, all the customers, going back forever across customers or whatever. And that's something that is another advantage of using some kind of AI system for some of these problems.
Yeah, I mean, it can find those patterns that even the best analysts aren't going to find.
Right.
We used the example in conversation earlier when we were chatting about a place like a big box retail store. And you walk in the retail store and you buy a gas grill. So before there was any kind of sales analysts or otherwise, and really bad systems, for the next months in your email, they'd be trying to sell you gas grills. You bought one, you must need another one. And then sort of the next level was they recognized, well, people who bought gas grills buy covers, and they buy spatulas, and they buy gas tanks and things like that for it. Where the AI kind of comes in, though, is that it looks at everything else that you've ever bought and compares you with other customers who've bought similar things. And the next thing you know, a guy who buys a gas grill has a 90% chance of buying clay pots to plant and topsoil, or patio furniture and things like that no human, unless they have some sort of weird skill set, would have noticed those patterns.
Totally. In recommendation, early recommendation classes and stuff, people will talk all about the beer and diaper as a recommendation rule. In other words, something so unexpected that people who buy beer, or people who buy diapers, also tend to buy beer, which on first pass makes no sense. But then you think about it. I mean, I don't have kids, but I imagine if I was needing to buy diapers, perhaps I'd also want to buy beer. So
should I be asking you if you're talking about Pampers or Depends?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's incredible because there's things aren't as random as people think they are, and when you can really identify those patterns, there's true benefit, which is really what I wanted to talk about on the podcast. Now that we've sort of defined what it is, some of the challenges that I've seen in large distributors, without throwing company names out there, but ones that are big in the fastener industry or industrial supply, companies that have manufactured 1,000 different items in their catalog. One of the big challenges that they have with their existing salespeople is either they've got guys that are already making great commissions and aren't really that active and growing, or they're really good at making their commission on about 20% of the catalog and they ignore the rest of it. In what ways would AI help change that pattern with existing salespeople?
Yeah, so for existing salespeople, and it depends sort of where in the organization you're talking about. So sure. I can kind of go from the least transactional to the most transactional. So the least transactional salespeople are the outside salespeople. I think that's really who you're talking about there. And the challenge there's a couple ways that AI can help those sort of most consultative sales reps. One is helping figure out which customers to call. So we see a lot of times is that those sales reps got, a couple customers they're buddy with. They tend to get a lot of the attention, despite not being the best opportunity for growth. And so AI can help those reps figure out, hey, here are the other customers in your book that have the biggest opportunity for growth that you should be spending a little bit more time with. The second way that AI can help those reps is helping them figure out what offer to make to those customers. So now that you've identified, 25 customers in your book of business who we think are great targets, but you don't know their business as well, and and you want to spend more of your time actually talking to them instead of doing research, AI can use the data that you've got to figure out kind of what's the right offer, what are the things that are going to be business changers or business difference makers for those customers. You can grow sales with them.
Let me dig into that one, because that's one of the ones that's fascinating to me. So in say for example, I'm selling into and I use this example a lot, and I don't know, it's just something that I use. Like if I'm in the chemical business and I'm selling to nursing homes. So
Sure.
There are nursing homes that absolutely love and respect their people. And there are nursing homes that they're just a place to store old people, and they really don't care because when they're gone, and I know it's a little morbid to talk about. So if I as a salesperson can sort of understand that there's two different personas within that market, instead of going in and immediately offering, what an AI lets me do is gives me a little bit of a script and some understanding of questions to know, are they a good nursing home or are they evil? And what are the initial products that most people in that segment of that type currently begin buying? So it's advancing me whether I'm new or an existing sales guy. But the other side of it is, once I've classified them that way and confirm in conversation, boy, it's so much easier to go back and say, well, they buy these 4 items, and the probability the AI is showing me with real simple, products is I should be offering in this order the next SKUs and expand and broaden, so that outside sales guy can turn a $100,000 customer into a $200,000 customer without even prospecting any place new, getting more out of what you got. I think that's really cool.
Definitely. And so I think that's the value of some of the recommendation technology. And I think it's exactly what you're saying, identifying what kind of customer they are and what are the items they should be buying. Definitely.
Yeah. The other segment, and this is something that I know, I don't think I've come across a large distribution company in years that doesn't have the issue of having to hire 20 to keep 2, or I'm exaggerating a little bit. But getting that new guy who doesn't know the business, the new brilliant class who comes in as your new sales team from zero to selling, when they have to learn 100,000, 200,000 SKUs. This is something, and I don't know if you want to share a little bit, how can AI help that guy, that gal who's now working in my company to get up to speed faster than they ever could without AI?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the 2 examples I gave before about figuring out which customers to focus on, what to sell to those customers, I think those hold true and are really important for those new salespeople, right? Because they're coming into potentially a scratch territory, or they're taking someone's territory over. They don't know the customers well. They don't know where to focus. They don't know what to offer each customer. So that can be really helpful. The other area that we've seen AI be really helpful for those types of reps is in sort of like I guess I'd call it like sort of sales enablement. So helping reps figure out, so they walk into a customer and the customer says, hey, I'm buying this from a competitor. Do you guys sell a substitute for this product? You're a new rep. You got 8 million SKUs in your catalog.
Mm-hmm.
What? I mean, that's almost impossible to figure out. You might have to text a manufacturer rep, call someone else in your company. We can do that with AI. You just type in a description of the item. We'll figure out the substitute, or if something's out of stock, we'll tell you the substitute. We can search across, all kinds of different PDFs to find the answers to these questions. So there's all kinds of sort of ways you can leverage AI to help give reps kind of the information and the knowledge they need to be successful beyond just, hey, here are the next 5 items this customer should be buying.
Yeah, it's really powerful. I mean, one of the key in sales coaching and training that's so difficult for people to understand and do is, excuse me, customer, I really don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to find out for you. And to have the power of saying, give me a second, I've got the tech that will help me do it in front of you, rather than I got to get back with you next week. That's huge.
That's right.
Yeah. But, getting that success pattern up front, I can imagine as the customer. So I've had Susan as my sales rep for the last 10 years, and she's brilliant. Susan just got promoted, or she took another territory, and now I got Billy, who's been with the company for a week. And I've been in that situation. I'm the new guy in the territory, and that level of respect, that first impression is so important. So now the AI is showing me what their past purchasing pattern was, and what's worked and what they haven't wanted to buy before. So I won't be suggesting stuff that they've rejected. I can actually come in and make that first impression and show, even though I'm new in the company, I've got the resources to not lose a beat from the great service that Susan was doing in the past. I mean, that's huge
Yeah.
for a new rep.
Once you have this technology in place and you're connected into all the data and you can enable a new rep like that, you can also
Mm-hmm.
enable customer service agents the same way. So
Yep.
this same customer emails into the call center to place an order. They don't need to email in and have someone just have them as another email. They can get a personal response. Hey, I saw you bought you bought a new piece of equipment. How's that working for you?
Yep.
You may have never spoken to that rep, but by sort of getting everyone plugged into the same system, you can enable that omni-channel experience, which is just way better for the customer. It's just personal everywhere they go.
Yeah, it's funny. You beat me to the punch. That was the next category I was going to. So what a great segue into customer service. I I remember working with a company that was a distributor for products into the woodworking industry, the cabinet makers and otherwise. And the people who worked in customer service didn't know anything about woodworking, which is normal. You don't expect everyone to be an expert. But I remember there was a campaign. There was a new type of sandpaper that had come out, and they knew that customers who were using a certain brand of sandpaper would really benefit from this new abrasive. So they had their customer service people, every time someone called, they would say, "Hey, we've got this new thing. Can I send you one as a sample?" Well, now with AI, uh, the patterns of change, where they're buying a low margin product, we've got a high margin product that would work better for them and bring more value, actually be cheaper to use. That those customer service people all of a sudden become geniuses and experts because the system is telling them what they should be and not be suggesting. Just something that came out of a past experience that I think is beneficial. What else could the inside customer service people benefit in having that available to them?
There's certainly a benefit in the upsell to the distributor, but I think if we reframe it in terms of what's the benefit for the end customer who's actually
Yes.
placing an order, these customer service agents can be so much more valuable to that end customer by making proactive suggestions about, hey, by the way, like, in the dental world, if you run out of gloves, can't practice, right? And so if we can tell you when you're going to run out of gloves before you run out of gloves. That's hugely valuable for
Absolutely.
the end user. And so there's value there. There's value obviously in the upsells and helping customers find what they need. Another simple example is this finding substitute products. Customer calls in. This happens all the time, especially in the COVID world where PPE is so hard to come by. Hey, I need to buy a level 1 mask. Well, the one that you usually buy is out of stock. So what else? What's the closest substitute that you have in stock?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, answering that question before might take a couple minutes. They might have to message a couple other reps. Now you can do it in an instant. AI identifies what the sub is right away. And so there are all these different ways that you can use this sort of product and recommendation technology to make the customer experience better.
That customer experience is just so important, especially in today's market. It's always been important, but for some reason lately, people have been recognizing it's important. It's
Definitely.
odd. And when we as consumers, whether it's in the business space and the consumer space, and we talk to someone who can get us answers that meet our needs. If you can solve my problem, you have so much more value to me than a guy who can just take an order from me and maybe even send me the wrong thing if you don't have that intelligence.
Definitely. I think that's exactly right. And I think that distributors should be thinking about this kind of technology as an opportunity in the short term to differentiate. And in the long term, this stuff's going to become table stakes. It's early enough that this can really be what makes people want to call your customer service or email with your team or work with your team. And so I think there's a real opportunity to use this as a way to differentiate your customer experience.
Yeah, I just see it as the perfect path to the next level for distributors to outperform their competition in every way, with with faster training, less employee turnover, less frustration. People feel like champions when they're able to actually service rather than make excuses. Well, I was never trained on that. All those other crazy things that customer service says to us that makes us want to reach through the phone and throttle somebody. it's I, I talk about it all the time in other episodes of the podcast where we talk about just horrible customer experiences that people have had and how easy it would have been to actually train. It's kind of like you call up a company and they start using their internal dialogue is to, well, to do that, I have to fill out this A52B form and get it to them. I don't care how the internal company works. What I want is my problem solved the easiest way possible at the right price, and feel good that I'm buying from people who understand me. So it's just such a great opportunity. What else about the AI? I usually at the end of my podcast ask people, is there a question I should have asked that I didn't? In your case, I'm asking about the AI. What about AI and this field and how it serves? Didn't I ask you about that people should know that would benefit their business?
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about the opportunity to benefit proactive sellers like outside salespeople and inside salespeople. We talked about how it could help customer service agents who are taking orders over the phone and over email. I think the only other place that I'd want to mention is you can use the same technology on your website to do personalize every page basically for customers and make it easier for them to find the stuff they need, solving many of the same problems that we're solving in customer service. So you're looking at a product page, you want to figure out what a substitute is, what goes with this particular product, what things do I need to reorder, what am I missing? I'm say you're a contractor placing an order to do a particular job, and you add all the items into your cart except you're missing an item. We can use AI to figure out what that missing item is, so you don't order the stuff, show up at the job site, and realize, shoot, I need that one part that I didn't get. And so we can use AI to sort of solve all those problems and make those suggestions directly to the customer through the website.
So it's really a way to add true intuition to what normally would not be intuitive.
Right, exactly. And look, the results are crazy. Like, they surprise me even. We just finished a pilot with a large industrial distributor who saw a 22% increase in average order value in 30 days. It's like staggering. And it makes sense because you sell hundreds of thousands of products. It's hard to find stuff on your website. It's hard to find stuff as a customer service agent.
Repeat that number, because I think you shocked people. They didn't hear you the first time. What percent of growth and what amount of time?
22% increase in average order value in 30 days. And so, by the way, increasing average order value is one of the most profitable growth levers for a distributor, right?
Absolutely.
Same box, same. And so adding more items into the same box, the numbers surprise me. Like, I'm shocked every time. But yeah, I mean, it helps people find what they need faster, and an improvement in the customer experience is an improvement to the bottom line. And I think the web stuff shows it, and same with the other channels. So,
yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and for the audience, if this intrigued you, interested you, get in touch. The contact information is going to be in that space down below there that I'm pretending is there now, even though we haven't posted this yet. And we'll be back in touch and give you a more detailed presentation, maybe a little discovery about your company and how we can help you. We really believe that this AI is the game changer, this type of technology. If you've got lots and lots of different items to sell and a team that wants to sell more, you want to grow, get in touch with us. Thanks again for being on the show, Benj. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. If you like the FangledCast, please subscribe, like, share, send a fax to an old person, let them know it exists, and absolutely subscribe, because we'd love to have you check out all of the other interesting stories and interviews that we've done in the past and will be doing in the future. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great one. Brought to you by Fangled Technologies, where we help you convert every person your company touches into a voracious advocate for your brand.